All righty, welcome to the Weaver session, everybody. We are going to be doing a Safe for Work class today. So if anybody needs to actually focus on the NSFW stuff, if we have time after the class or, before the hour's up, we can go into that. But at least this way people can see the safer content and learn more about Weaver. All right, so first I would like to spend about 5 minutes, just 5 minutes. That's all I need you to do is bear with me. Because I want to tell y'all just the bare minimum about LLMs, because I'm seeing a lot of comments and issues. And the way people word things, it makes me think y'all aren't quite understanding how some of them work and how Sudowrite has to work around their issues, How many FFA people do I have? I saw a few. FFA people, if y'all do not mind, as I go through this LLM talk, please feel free to speak up if I said something incorrect. Please feel free to put something in chat if you think something needs clarification. I don't mind being corrected. I want everybody to have the best information out there. And most of y'all know I have trouble speaking. That's why I write. I get my words confused when I talk.
Right. Can you explain what is FFA, please?
Sorry, FFA is Future Fiction Academy. Elizabeth Ann West started that. She was kind of the mastermind behind all the prompting with Sudowrite. So she's very familiar with Sudowrite, very familiar with LLMs, like, using Playground, ChatGPT, all of that. Everything I know about working with LLMs, I learned from her. And I want to go over this because I really think that it will help y'all understand how to work inside Sudowrite better as well. Again, we're just going to cover the bare minimum here. If you want to learn more, I recommend Future Fiction Academy's YouTube channel, or, talk to them about joining their stuff, or just do your own research about LLMs, because it's really helped me improve my prompting and everything. Excuse me. All righty, so let's jump in. What is Weaver? So Weaver was started as a role-playing form model. Let me copy this link for y'all. There you go, in case anybody needs to follow along. So Weaver was started as a little role-playing model. So it's more like, just think of having a conversation back and forth with somebody, except a smaller window. And I will actually show you. This is Weaver right here. This model. So I just gave Weaver this, and it gave me the output. And you can see its output 263 tokens. The average is 261 tokens for its output. So this is how Weaver was intended to be, more like this, just a back and forth. So floorboards creak under his feet, keeps one hand on the railing. Suddenly he stops. And so this is how Weaver was kind of started out, just a little back and forth, some small pauses like this. And you could see it didn't even, because I said suddenly he stops. He doesn't really stop in the output. But if you'll notice in this, which is Open Router, I don't have any sort of settings. And that's what's going to come into play later on too. I just want y'all to get the idea. This is how Weaver is meant to be. So it has a context window of 8,000. And we just saw the output. The average output is 261 tokens. The max that it could output is 350 tokens. Tokens are equivalent to, I'd say, 75% words. It's like 75% of this will be words. Again, somebody feel free to correct me if I'm wrong. I know the number 4 somewhere there, like maybe 4 words, 4 characters, something along those lines. But just think 75%. So 350 tokens does not equate to 350 words. So what does the context window have to do with anything? The context window for all of the models, Weaver, ChatGPT, which is what most accurate is, and what most of the boxes in Sudowrite uses, this is all through OpenAI right here. So all of the boxes in Sudowrite use some version, either GPT-4 or 3.5 of OpenAI. You may have heard Claude 2 has that huge context window. And of course, now GPT-4 Turbo is out with even more of a context window. But this is the issue. This is why Sudowrite has those limitations on the boxes. They have to stay within context windows. Now that all these LLMs are coming out with these really nice size ones, hopefully we will be able to bump those boxes up. That's up to the developers. I don't know what all goes on their end to tie everything up. So that's up to them. What I want you to keep in mind is just because it says it's a context window of 8,000, doesn't mean it can give you 8,000 words or even 8,000 characters. Context window includes input and output. So everything you're giving the AI and everything that it's giving you all goes towards that window. So for instance, if I come here to Playground, I go to my brainstorming prompt right here. You'll see these change. We'll talk about that in a minute. So this is my little prompt for my brainstorming in Playground. It is 37 words. That's going to come out of my context window, plus anything I put here, whatever I type in this message here, all of that comes out of the context window. This isn't bad, right? But if I go to my other prompt, this is my other prompt. So all of this, which is 1,100 words, that's a big chunk. That's all coming out of the APIs or the LLM's context window. So I want y'all to keep that in mind. That's why there's the smaller boxes, all of the limitations and everything. Because think about how many boxes you have inside Story Bible. And they're having to accommodate for all of that. And again, we just got GPT-4 Turbo right here. I'm hoping that will get used more, but that's always up to the developers. I have actually asked for us to be able to have these settings, and this is what I'm going to go into next. But if you have an API and you can control all the temperatures and everything, this is Weaver's recommended starting settings. So you can play around with it from there. Our settings right now is, let's see what it was. 0.85 is the current temperature for Weaver, unless James changed it since then. It was at 0.9, I believe, and we lowered it a bit. And frequency penalty is 0. Yes, ma'am. It'll be available later. All right. So what does the frequency penalty do? I don't know how many spicy authors we got here, but those that were in like the Dark and Taboos and stuff, or, talking in Slack, during our sexual scenes, there was always the line that would start the scene, and there was a line that would finish the scene, no pun intended. But we always knew pretty much what the AI was going to say. So with this frequency penalty at 0, you should not have that issue with Weaver. And Weaver is already imaginative as it is. I really love Weaver style. And I do want to just put myself on the spot. If y'all aren't happy with Weaver, don't take it out on Sudowrite. They asked us, hey, we want to do an unfiltered model. Which one do you like? I pushed for Weaver. If y'all don't like it, y'all can put the blame on me. So let's go through the settings real quick. And again, I just feel like if y'all know these settings or a little bit about them, whenever y'all start giving feedback to the team, hey, I don't like this, I think the feedback could be a little better as far as you actually knowing what you don't like about it. And plus, you'll know what's probably causing the issue. So you may learn how to fix it yourself, Or you can start learning, okay, I think we need to have this in Sudowrite, and you can learn how to make some suggestions for improvements. Excuse me. So when you do an API, like Playground and stuff, you have all of these settings right here. And you'll see the frequency, presence, and temperature. If you're using Playgrounds, you will notice those things there. And I did put a little excerpt here at the bottom that actually goes over those things. I'm not going to go over this. Y'all can read it if you're interested in it. I don't want to waste that time. But basically, temperature is how creative is the AI going to get for you. So think of it as the creativity slider inside Sudowrite proper. You know, if you have it all the way to the left, it sticks very much to your commands, your instructions, your style, everything. If you slide that creativity slider all the way to the right, it starts throwing in all kinds of things. You know, aliens might visit, whatever. So temperature kind of controls how creative the AI gets. And of course, this is that tokens thing that we talked about. And then y'all will see the frequency and presence penalties with plugins. Top P and temperature are really what go together. So we've been pushing to have top P or at least top K, but top P mostly along with the temperature, because that will actually give you a lot more control and variety for your output. Yeah, so presence is, presence and frequency are pretty much the same. Like I said, I put it in here for y'all to read, but even if you read it, you're like, okay, what's the difference? Take it to chat, y'all. Take it to Chat GPT, ask him. But I do know we have it at 0. So again, read that if you want to learn some more. So what is all of this doing, right? Excuse me. This thing won't get out of my way. So when Sudowrite did Weaver, like I said, they had the temperature a little higher. We lowered it. Well, James lowered it. I didn't have anything to do with the suggestions, but the frequency penalty down to 0. Now, since Weaver has that small output, which y'all saw here with that 260 tokenish, they did some back-end prompting to try to tie everything together, you know, make it longer. Otherwise, we would be getting these small outputs all the time, the mid stops. So they did what they could on their part and put some additional prompting there to keep it going. That's why when you're using Weaver, you will see it pause a lot. And then a lot of times it might misspell the word because it's picking back up, but not getting it quite right. So I want you to know that's not like a huge grammatical issue. It's just in the prompting, and that just think of it like a little stutter. They're doing that back-end prompting to get you that fuller context, fuller output. And Weaver also attempted, I don't know if that's the right word, but James said he had issues where it just kind of wanted to go on and never really wrapping up the scene. So they did some back-end prompting for that as well to kind of get it to close out. And I know when I tested it, you know, you can read what happened here. It just, spicy authors before were always complaining, hey, you know, the AIs just want to rush through the scene. Weaver does not. Weaver takes its time. Make sure you're very satisfied with it. So again, the lower temperature helps Weaver to listen better. And I want y'all to think about that, because does Best Pros listen? No. So this is also why I'm trying to get them to think about if it's possible for us to be able to control our own settings. Because did you know there is actually, and I learned this from Elizabeth from Leland, there's a setting to make Claude listen as well as Chat GPT. You know, think I'm going to say Best Pros and Most Accurate, but I mean the LLMs. There's a setting to make Best Pros listen as well as Most Accurate, and vice versa. There's a setting to make Most Accurate sound like Best Pros. So those are the kind of things you can accomplish whenever you start learning more about these. But again, the developers, you know, it has to be something that they could easily incorporate into Sudowrite. And I want y'all to be prepared if they are able to do that eventually. And if not, and if y'all go visit an API like playground and stuff where I like to work. I want y'all to understand what y'all can do with those things. So I could go into playground. I don't think I have it in my presets, but so I could actually go in there, and instead of just getting the basic OpenAI output, I could have it sounding more like Claude. Let me see. I made some notes here, but I think I'm still kind of jumping around. So again, that frequency penalty at 0, we no longer get those phrases of, excuse me for a moment, this is the only NSFW part. I promise our story is completely safe. But like for spicy authors, you know, when it started the scene, it was always, he thrust into her without warning. And, you know, it was always, come for me whenever he was ready, things like that. Always, every scene. And you should not have that issue with Weaver. And I think I already went over this because, again, I was jumping around. You know, Best Pro's not listening, so it's the temperature thing. And I tell y'all this not so y'all can run, hey, we want all these settings. No, because if you don't know how to use them, that's just going to be more things for y'all to learn, some trouble. But again, this could also help y'all because people are saying Best Pros doesn't listen at all. It's awful. Same thing with Weaver. I just want y'all to understand there are things that we can do to get around it. And that's what we're going to try to do today for Weaver. And if we can learn the lingo, if you put it in chat, somebody may be able to help you with the lingo, or I could know what to put in here for you. So for Weaver, what I've found is don't use any more than 4 beats. And the 1 stride at a time seemed to be really ideal. At 4 beats, it started veering off track, but I'm the type of person, I like ideas, so that doesn't bother me as much. Just keep that in mind. Play around with it. I wouldn't do more than 4 beats. And again, if y'all still have problems, if y'all are running the 1 strides and like you're going, look, it's still not listening, it's horrible. That's when we know, okay, we need to look at the temperature again and possibly lower it, which is why I went into this spiel. So y'all could kind of know, you know, it's not just a bad model. It's not anything wrong with Sudowrite. It's just a combination of things and us figuring out how to tweak all of the settings, how to tweak the prompting so it all works together. And I put that you should also play around with the summary. I haven't done that enough to decide for sure one way or the other. All righty. Sorry for the educational lesson. Like I said, that was the bare minimum. So let's jump right in. That is exactly what we're going to work on right now. So I created this story real quick. Again, it's going to be safe. So the ferryman basically, and I went for witty style because we know how horrible most accurate Best Pros, you know, we tell them to be funny and they really aren't. So I thought this would be great to try for Weaver because I love Weaver's natural style. So I'm hoping, really hoping it will nail the comedic aspect of it. One thing I want you to notice or note, you see all I have right here. In my opinion, and this is just my opinion, Weaver actually does best when you don't have all of this stuff in here for your style. I mean, sorry, I was in the wrong box.
Can I add to that, Nicole?
Uh-huh.
So I'm with you on that, and I tested it extensively because I've been playing around in Weaver. What I think Weaver's trying to do is everything. So in just the stride, it wants to put in everything, every single thing you have in this genre box. It's trying to put everything in just that single stride, if that makes sense. So if you put in, like, even though your story has zombies later on, if you put zombie in there, it will somehow still try to put zombie in even your first stride. So that's why I think Weaver does better with minimal amounts in those boxes, if that makes sense.
It does actually, yeah. I didn't think about it that way. For my case, it was, like I said, I played around with Weaver before it was in Sudowrite, and I just love the style. It was very close to my natural writing. And I kind of just forgot where I was going with that thought, y'all. I am so sorry. But anyway,
sorry, I knocked you off the rails.
No. So I like the output, like straight up going into Open Router or whatever other method I was using, program I was using Weaver. That was my go-to because it has, I call it the flavor. Like Weaver has this nice flavor to it in its wording, the way it describes things. So I loved it. And I did notice whenever I was putting all the stuff in style, it didn't have that same flavor. It was sounding more like most accurate, let's say, would. So not yet, but they are looking at having the letting us be able to choose which models for guided write and other things. But it is available if you have plugins. I don't mess with the plugins, so I would say attend one of John's classes on that if you want to learn more about plugins, but Weaver is available via plugins. So both genre and style. That is a good question, and I will make note of that. I haven't checked for genre, but I can say for sure style. Yes, Mana?
Just let you know, it's the Weaver in the plugin is not easy to use. It doesn't keep going. It stop at 400.
Okay.
So that's something you say that John knows.
I was just saying to attend his little sessions. So Weaver
Yeah.
inside plugins puts minimal output.
Yeah, I could not get it to go any farther than 400 output.
And I'm going to put, I suggest keeping style to a minimum. I'm just making some notes here. So as everybody else pops in, you know, pops up with their tips that have been playing with it, I could put it here and y'all have this document. So I suggest keeping style to a minimum. I've been starting with just my tints and POV. And this is really good too if you're not one who likes you haven't got the hang of changing up your style per chapter as people suggest doing. This is really good because again, you could have that minimal style right here. I could have just this, which is what I've been doing, y'all. I'm not just telling y'all this and not actually doing it. I've just been having this in here. But then if I get to a fight scene, I can come over here and maybe add, like, you know, extreme violence or whatever I want. So you can layer things in a little bit easier than trying to load up the style boxes, which is what I've always done before. But for the sake of humor, I'm going to leave this in here because again, I'd want to see if Weaver can do it, and then we can take it out if it doesn't work. So that's the first suggestion, minimal style box. And I did 2 chapters already. Let me show y'all what they're about real quick, so y'all can help me keep track if it stays on track for it. So Jerry, a living human, stumbles into the underworld, confused and demanding answers. Karan, I'm not sure how to say that. He's taken aback by Jerry's arrival. He is the ferryman. And Jerry's insistence on speaking to the manager about a mistake. You know, Jerry's insisting he's still alive. And chapter 9 is the other one I generated. They enter the labyrinth, searching for an artifact. And I chose this one because they come across the Minotaur, who challenges them to a philosophical debate. And I was hoping that would help add some of that witty dialogue I was looking for. Good to know. And I don't know if you want people to know who you are. That's why I didn't say anything. But that person knows what they're talking about with Weaver. So what I've been doing is I'll generate all of the beats, but then I will actually take these and I will just save them. So I would cut them out. And I'm just going to add a little blank document, or here we go. This works. I'm just going to paste in those regular beats. So I'm not deleting them. I'm not wasting words, deleting them or anything like that. So now I just have 4 beats, and I'm going to put the ellipses from John's little trick. And what this does is I can pause it here, but as long as I have these, it thinks I still have 2 more beats. So that continue button will be there for me to add in my other beats. And so we're going to compare right now the 4 beats versus 2 beats. For those who are new, a stride is 2 beats. So if we say a stride, that's what we mean, 2 beats at a time. So let's begin here. Ferryman standing at the river, waiting for the next soul. Introduce Jerry. Have Jerry demand answers. And then we got that dry wit. All right. Let's see how well it does with the 4 beats in the box right here. And I'm going to pause it after it gets to those. Y'all have any questions so far while we wait for it? Yeah, I know it goes a little bit slow.
Hit pause.
Well, I want to wait for that 3-4 to start. So I want to see how it does with 4 at a time, and then we can compare with just 2 at a time. That way, I'm using up my words, y'all aren't using up y'all's to test. Y'all can determine, hey, it did better. It did okay with just the 4, I'm good with that. Or, you know, oh no, I liked it when it did 2.
Is that taking anything out of your outline as well?
I'm sorry, what do you mean out of my outline?
Your link to the outline of chapter 2.
Mm-hmm.
So if you have more information in your outline, will it take more from the outline or more from the beats, or does it matter?
So the beats generate from the outline. So then your prose, if you look at the question marks right here, these are good, some good helpful guides. So your beats drew from the outline summary, your prose itself is drawing from the beats. So it's like a little chain reaction there.
Yeah.
So prose isn't pulling from the outline, they're pulling from the beats, which pulled from the outline, kind of like a little domino effect.
Okay. All right.
And again, that's also what I want y'all to play with on your own, because y'all are the ones who can determine if you like it or not. I like just having minimal here in the outline summary, the chapter summary. So if you get too much right here, keep in mind that might be a little more, I don't know. Play, see which way you think it does better. Write itself into a hole with just 1. Okay, so let's see. It did the 4. Let's see how well it's to the story. He's demanding answers, insisting on speaking to the manager. And surprise, have him question how a living human ends up in the underworld. Okay. Does anybody know how to say this? Don't laugh at me. Oh, look, can switch it to the ferryman. Who's going to say Sharon?
Sharon.
Is it?
It's actually Sharon.
Sharon. Okay. I meant to say that, but I don't know why it came out Sharon. But
Well, there's in one of my series called Hit World, we have a company called Sharon Ferry.
Oh, somebody else says Carl. You know what? This guy, the ferryman guy. That's what I'm going to say. The ferryman. Okay, stood at the bank, the river Styx gurgling lazily behind him. He leaned on his oar, waiting for his next passenger. The ferryman was bored out of his mind. This was the same daily routine for the past few millennia. He surveyed the bleak landscape, the grayish mist swirling around the boats as souls shuffled up to him, some eager and some reluctant, all knowing their fate. A grim smile played on his thin lips as he mused about the morbidity of it all. I really like it. This is why I love Weaver. I like its openings. I like its style. So it did pretty well right there. Suddenly, a loud splash echoed through the underworld. Ferryman's head snapped up in surprise, his eyes widening when he saw a figure emerge from the water. It was a human. He had never seen one here before. They were supposed to be dead first. He watched as the man struggled to stay afloat, clinging, and this is that little error from the prompting to get it to continue. He watched as the man struggled to stay afloat, clinging onto a nearby log. His clothes were soaked, and there was a look of utter disbelief on his face. What are you doing here? He asked, raising an eyebrow. Jerry could barely hear him over the rhythmic lapping of the water. Let me just scan over the rest of this real quick. Spitting out the water, I don't know. One moment I was at a bar, and then, well, here I am. Is this some trip, huh? Okay, I mean, I like it. That one line right there to me is better than any humor the other models came up with. More like a one-way ticket. Never mind. Well, you're here, aren't you? No turning back. How y'all think it's doing on the dry wit, on the hip wit?
Pretty good.
Yeah, well, someone needs to spruce this place up. Oh, I'm an interior designer. Give me some time and a little budget and I'll make it happen. I apologize for the coughing, y'all. They continue their journey. I like it. I'm loving the dialogue. I'm just a boat man. I didn't get saying the decor. I mean, this is some on the nose, right? But the dialogue itself is really good. Yep, we can do that on the next one. I'll do that when we switch over to trying 2 beats. Let's see. Make out the ornate columns. This isn't like those DMVs you've been to on Earth. It's worse. Oh, Lordy. Okay, so 4 beats followed pretty much, right? I mean, yeah, it followed. Let's do one more stride. And I'm only want to do one more stride because I want to see if it picks up. Because yeah, it did good with those 4, but how well does it pick up and continue now? Or is it going to start veering away? So I will paste those 2 here. And again, because it said we paused at the end of beat 4 and we had the ellipses. Thank you, John Creason. I still have that continue button. So I'm going to continue. If you hit restart, it's going to start all over from beat 1. So we're going to continue and pause. So again, I'm just checking to see, did it continue the story correct? Ooh, let me see what the beats were. I'm just checking to see if it continued the story correctly or if it's starting to veer now that we've gone past those initial 4. Develop the dialogue. Well, these were some crabby beats to kind of show, huh? Oops. Okay, showing him his life insurance policy and the ferryman's reaction. Okay. So he's going through the line here. Okay, so it picked up pretty well. Started his journey, excuse me, through the afterlife line. Joined the end of the queue. Excuse me, I need some water. All right, letting through a maze. So it's doing pretty well. What do y'all think? Do y'all think that kind of continued it nicely?
Looks pretty good.
All right. So I would say no bows because it's Weaver. Because even with using the ellipses, most accurate and them were still doing it to me. All right. So now we're gonna do chapter 9. Y'all want first person? Do y'all want what is first person normally in? Past or present?
They're in both past and present.
Okay, do y'all have a preference?
Let's try present.
Start present? Okay. Let's go back to 9. Do y'all want to just try 2 beats? Were y'all happy with the 4? I'm slowly waiting for y'all to. Okay.
Let's try
Mine
2.
says 2.
Oh, something I want to show before I start deleting these. Okay. So we confirmed this with the developers. Have y'all noticed when y'all get the 15 beats, that last one is normally just a style phrasing beat? So what happens when we generate this chapter right here? When we click this button to generate prose, the AI actually reads all of this first. So did that statement just cause something to click into place for y'all? For those that say, hey, it's jumping ahead? The AI reads all of your beats before it starts generating. So again, if you're having that issue, go ahead and remove those. And these, I normally just, I like this one. I'm going to put it as a header. And I will say, if you're having trouble with it staying first person, because some people say it'll start off and, you know, doesn't stay in it, you can reinforce first person, whatever tense up here in the header. You can also add it to your beats. Let's say I want to generate 4 beats and then I want to reinforce. I don't want to give it the chance to screw up. You know, I'm not even allowing that. I can put right here. Right in first person. Present tense. Right there in the beat, after the number, before the words. So again, I'm not giving it the chance to mess up. If I think it might forget the tense that I want it to write, I'm just going to put it again. Copy that. 6, 7, 8. So I'll put it again here. And you can do that. That does not mess anything up. So we're doing the 2 beats. Got those, do the ellipses, because again, the ellipses are what keeps that continue button there for you. I'm just going to pause it. When Rian, do the characters matter? Do you mean like the symbols, like the square brackets I used?
Don't
There's
you
some-
need,
Oh, go ahead.
I'm sorry, didn't you need a first person thing in your header or something?
You don't need to, but you can reinforce it right there. I have it in the style box.
Oh, okay.
But you know, if some people are finding they're still having issues, yeah, it's not doing it. Let's do it in the header. Y'all, please don't leave me a bad review because of my coughing. I'm really sorry. Okay, let's do, so this didn't do right, correct? I don't write in first person. This isn't right, correct?
Yes, you're
There are 2 persons, so,
Okay. So just want to make sure. So I'm going
so
to delete
that's
this.
they.
Yeah.
So what's the beat say? Is they supposed to be together? So you can say Sharon
going to
and
do-
Jerry.
Oh, sorry. I'm going to do first person past tense, but you know what? We did not give, oh, y'all wanted present tense. Y'all did not give, we did not give a point of view person. First person present tense from Jerry's POV. There we go. And I will go ahead and put it in my style as well. All right, let's do it again. Paused at the end of beat 2. Oh. I'm just making a new doc so I can copy those other beats I had before I lose them. I'm going to make a new chapter 9 because it's showing at the end of beat 2, so it's not in line yet. And I don't feel like messing with the ellipses. All right, so now we have it in our header. We have it in our style box. Hang on just a minute, Tabby. Let me get this going and pause it first. Unless you needed something before I did it. Okay. Okay. Go ahead, Tabby.
Okay, so I like writing in first person, and this is my crazy self trying to get Weaver to write in first person.
Mhm.
I've also noticed if I change my outline to first person, it doesn't have any issues at all. So like instead of putting Jerry does this, I would put I do this. It is totally counterintuitive to you as a writer to do that in your outline, but Weaver, since I've done it that way, Weaver's not had an issue writing that way, if that makes sense.
Okay. Yeah, so it looks like it's doing here because we did present tense, right? Yeah, we did first person present. So now you'll have a couple of ways to do it. I think that was the issue though. We didn't put the from the person's POV. I could use some popcorn for this. Yeah, I don't like first person. As a reader, I don't, and I tend to write whatever I like as a reader. So, all right, let's grab some more beats here. So next thing I'm going to try. So we know it works doing it. Can't talk and do things at the same time. All right, so we know it works when we did the 4 beats. It stayed on track. We know it works on the 2 beats. So now I'm curious, will it work? Will it continue and stay consistent if I don't remove these beats, but just pause it? Does that make sense? I'm trying to find ways for y'all to do this. That way, if one method doesn't work for you, you have another method. So before we were cutting out the beats, not letting them be there, but now I want to see how it does with them there. But again, remember when we generate, it reads through, so that could be what throws it off. We are paused at the end of beat 2. So they're coming up on the first trap. All right. So we're just going to continue, leave all the beats there, but pause for each one. So in this one, they stood at the entrance of the labyrinth. They encountered the first trap. And there's a puzzle involving a series of symbols. Okay. But I'm really happy with the style. It still stuck to that Weaver type style, even though I had all that stuff in the style box. But I do recommend, if you're not liking the output, start with that minimal. All right, so next we stumble upon a pit filled with snakes. Ferryman barely bats an eye.
You see GC's question?
I didn't. What's that?
As we are, I'm not sure if I want to read the whole thing, but we are talking about primacy in the class. In other the model put more weight and on the last things it reads. Is Weaver like that too as well?
So generally all the boxes have recency bias, specifically genre and style. I couldn't tell you what the others, we have asked that before. Ryan just said, keep that in mind that generally all of them could have a recency bias. However, we know that's not true for characters. Like it doesn't automatically start pulling, heavy from your bottom of your character box, but definitely genre and style have a recency bias. Is that what you're asking? Or what that person was asking? Let me know if I didn't answer it. All right, so let's see. Trying to see, are they going to come across the puzzle with the symbols? Yep. Pig flies overhead and a unicorn farts rainbows. What? I missed this puzzle, but now I'm interested to know what it was. Don't step on the beats.
Yes, you answered the question.
Okay. Another trap, a room filled with jello. Gross and oddly satisfying. So we're at the end of beat 4, so it's going to start at 5 right here. And then after that, they come face to face with the Minotaur. So let's see. I'm going to continue and pause. Now, too, I know somebody said they didn't know this. If I wanted to switch over to best pros or most accurate, I could do that before I continue. That's not a problem at all. You can start in one model, switch through all of them if you like. Okay. Oh, we gotta, okay, I was wondering why there was paperwork again. Something was definitely off with this. Like that just doesn't flow right. The scene itself's continuing, so it's likely just because we didn't add the beats, but there's definitely a little off there. Combination lock. Okay, so yeah, it seems to be going off. Do y'all think so? If y'all had time to read that or whatever. To me, it seems to be going off rails. So I would definitely do the method of removing the beats and then pasting them back in 2 or 4 at a time, however you wanted to do that. In my opinion, that's the best way, at least for now. And again, we may get enough feedback and James says, hey, you know, they want to lower the temperature a little bit, which could help allow it to listen a little bit more. But that is what I would do. No more than 4 beats in here. If you want to just get in the habit of doing 2 at a time, like I said, just have these ellipses at the bottom. As long as you pause and have this ellipses, that continue button will still be there. So you can paste your next 2 to 4 beats, however you want to do it. Continue, pause again, and repeat the process till you go through your scene. 2 beats, 2 beats or not 2 beats. That's a good one. I like that. But I am happy with the dialogue. What did y'all think? Did y'all think it? I mean, it wasn't like super hilarious, but it was way better than the other models, I thought.
How's Weaver on humor?
That's what we just talked about, Manon.
I know you say the
Yeah.
dialogue is humorous, but did you try it more?
I haven't tried it
Yes.
humor any other times, but I'm really liking how it came out here. I really did.
Someone else
Never said
tried the
together.
humors?
So we
Pardon?
had playful wit, sharp dialogue, dry humor. I mean, I loaded it up. And I think it did great. So I think this would be a
Yeah.
style I would. Do y'all want this style? Just in case y'all want this, I'll copy this to the document. Is there anything else I need to let's see, this was the genre box. Anything else I need to put in this things to remember thing? Oh, one thing, let's see. It did
Yeah,
continue
2
the
things there. Nina is
first person,
asking a
right?
question.
Sorry. Go ahead.
Nina is asking, it's the attention span is related to the tokens. When you are in open router, it looks like you can change max token to 8,000. Oops, move in alpha. So Sudowrite limit is so it work with all the other stuff? Question mark.
Oh, okay. I'm gonna have to read that because I wasn't.
Yeah, it's
Oh,
a long
okay,
thing
here we
because
go.
she's talking about the token and then the limit of 8,000 there in alpha. Can you read it?
Maybe I misunderstood things, but she went into Open Router and brought up Weaver Alpha, Mancer Weaver 12K Alpha,
Mhm.
and the max tokens there you can put up to 8,000. And I thought you said in Sudowrite it's less than that, and so with that I was figuring they made it less than that
no.
because it's got to work with other stuff.
Okay, so and I'm sorry, I don't know your real name. but
Nina.
no, sorry, I was talking to somebody else in chat. I don't want to
Oh.
talk out, but okay, so there's a difference. That 8,000 token, that is the context window, the full entirety stuff, meaning all of this, within 8,000 has that memory, but its output is 263. So if you see, it's not there. Where are my models? Let me go to Mancer Tech. I can find it easier there. That's what I'm used to seeing. So it has the context of 8,000. Output limit, its maximum output limit is 350 tokens. The average is 200. Oh, it was 261 earlier, but 275. So this is the max it can do right here. And again, so in Sudowrite, think about it. They're having to do, for our context, if we're generating prose right here, oh, there's the question mark. So if we're generating prose right here to fit in that context window, because remember, it's looking at your genre box, your style box, your characters box, and your beats box. So all of that goes into the context window for it to start remembering everything. Does that make sense? And so that's why they've had to limit them. But with all these, okay, good. So with all these new models coming out, hopefully we'll be able to do something a little bit better. Again, does everybody understand that temperature thing I was talking about? How that can, I don't know what the temp for all the models are. And again, Sudowrite staff is aware of all of this. But I was hoping me explaining how that actually works with the models would help y'all see, okay, this isn't Sudowrite's fault. This isn't following, it's something in these settings. And if y'all can pinpoint more in y'all's feedback, this is what happened. It went off in stride 5. Like, everything was great until stride 5, and then it just went haywire. If y'all can give that more specific feedback, that can really help them in improving everything. So this is like a big circle of improvement here. The more y'all know, the more y'all can help improve things, and then the happier y'all are. Hopefully. Go ahead, Don.
Yeah, getting back to the using just 2 or 4 beats at a time to avoid going off the rails. Have you, with all of your, using the other choices, fastest, best prose, and most accurate, have you ever found them going off the rails when all 15 or 12 beats are left in the outline?
Yeah, best prose always does. But again, I'm the type of person, I like ideas, so I'm okay with it. And like, I don't even normally pause my stuff. I will edit my beats to the liking. I click to generate prose and I let things go. And then I just take the pieces that I like from everything. So yeah, best prose definitely likes to make up its own story. It's like a wannabe writer. It's like, you're writing this story? Hey, I have this great idea. Watch this.
Okay, thank you.
Most accurate does very well, and fastest at sticking with your beats. But you can see their styles are very different.
Right. Okay, good to know. Thank you.
All right. Does anybody remember, was there anything else y'all wanted me to note here? I tried to get everything, genre box, style box. So
I have a question, Nicole, but it's
Uh-huh.
more so in terms of the LLMs in reference to Story Bible and Canva. Because I remember, I think it was in your 301 or 201 class when you were doing the outline about the Christmas. And you generated from Story Bible and you also generated from Canva. But I think you like Canva a bit more, but you still take some stuff from Story Bible and kind of interweave it. My question is that, does it decipher between Story Bible as well as Canva, the way it generates the stories? And if so, does it also go with the type of genre, especially when it comes to outlining? If that makes sense.
So it doesn't know, like when I bring something in Story Bible and put it in my brain dump, it doesn't know, hey, this came from Canva. Is that what you mean? Like it doesn't see, or Canvas, it doesn't see what's over here at all. Is that what you're asking?
That's another question too. You answered that. But what I'm more so answer is the LMM different between Story Bible and Canva?
Oh, that is a good question. I have actually just the other day, as a matter of fact, I asked them to have a doc because Manal may know some of this answers, and if there's another ambassador on, I asked because surprisingly, people want to know which LLM controls the brain dump, which one does first draft. I think, I could be wrong, I think first draft is 3.5.
Mhm.
I am not sure about all the boxes. I know 4 is definitely in here, and I want to say it's probably outline. Again, I could be
Okay.
wrong on that. And beats,
Okay.
maybe, I don't know. And again, we're also in the process of saying, with all these new models getting released, hey, can we upgrade, have 32K handling these boxes and stuff? Because I think that will give us some greater improvement later on.
That makes sense. And my final question between Story Bible and Canva, do you find one works better than the other if you're generating like a different genre? For example, if you're doing fantasy versus maybe romance, or it's more so in reference to like the type of stories, so the hero's journey, story circle, or it's more so goes into that.
I find they're the same. I like Canvas just because, especially if I know, parts of my outline, I can fill that in and have it fill in the blank spots. Help me get a complete outline. I also like it for that generate options ability that you have. So let's say I generated my outline here and I didn't like these two. Well, my options are either I can just edit it and make it my own, which, let me make it clear, that we are writers. We're not supposed to, hey, Chris, go have fun. If you're going to Michelle's class, tell her I said hi, please. So my options, to either generate my whole entire outline or edit this. Let's just say I don't have any clue how I want this to go. I need some ideas. So that's the ways Canvas really shines to me, helping me fill in some plot holes, for areas I don't know, but also allowing me to generate options just for specific portions of the outline.
Makes sense.
But as far as like the type of story, like would I say one generates better than the other? No, I'd say they're both on par.
Okay, awesome.
Hi, Dion. I'm guessing y'all are going to the class, right?
Yes.
I'm hoping.
Yeah, I forgot.
I'm hoping to hop over soon.
Okay, see you then.
Bye.
Bye.
We have not yet got all this answer. Yeah. So we're hoping to get an answer for, which box has which LLM, and we'll put that out for y'all.
Thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome. Did I miss any questions? I'm sorry. I saw the chat going, but I couldn't keep up with it.
No, things is pretty good in the chat. I think we got them all.
Let me see if that. Are you still here? And would you like to add anything? Or would you prefer to just remain in the background?
I'm still here. Even if just to prevent you from walking on eggshells continually. So I am the person who built the Weaver model. But I did not have any of this use case in mind when I did so. So it's really fascinating to see how people are basically taking it in completely new directions and doing just crazy new things with it. I've didn't even dream that people would do stuff like this with it, especially considering, what most people tend to do with a model like that. But yeah, so the thing to keep in mind with Weaver is that it's doing its best, but it is dumb as a bag of bricks. It has a really, really short attention span. And it's so the intent when I created it was to create a fast, small model, or model system actually, that approaches Claude in terms of, I believe, what's Claude in Sudowrite? That's best prose, isn't it?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes. So it's trying to approach Claude in terms of its descriptions and the scenes it paints when it's describing characters and scenarios and actions. I was attempting to also get the coherency, but it is not there, which I think really contributes to why it just kind of grabs everything it possibly can and just throws it all into the paragraphs that come out of it. Slowly, you know, becoming more unhinged over time, just because that's the nature of the beast. But yeah, it struggles. If I had to give you a short list of things it's not good at, it would be developing surprises. Like if you tell it something, it will assume all characters know this already and write accordingly. So if you have like a secret that becomes revealed, or you want it to describe something that the reader and the characters don't know what it is yet, but you know what it is, you kind of need to present it that way to Weaver as well, because it's not going to be able to distinguish. It struggles with metacognition. It doesn't know who knows what and when. It knows things, if we were to hand wave the word knows a lot, but it doesn't understand the separation between Karen and Jerry, for example. It assumes they know what the other knows, and it will just kind of write as if that were the case. So if you have beats from the past, the present, and the future, it doesn't know when it is, unless you really get it down to 2 or 4 beats, which is what Nicole had done there. Just really narrow down, and then it can just expand your few sentences into far more than you ever wanted to hear about.
I, for one, love it. Like,
I like it.
the first time I tried Weaver, I fell in love with its style. Like I said, it's close to my original, you know, my own writing, and I just thought it was so unique. It wasn't giving all those cliched phrases like the others do, and you did a great job, I think. I can put up with there's a workaround for it not listening. Like, I'm a mom of 4. I can deal with, the children not listening and finding a way to make them behave. But the style, you really nailed that. Is there anything that you either heard me say that you disagree with, or anything that you would like to add? Like, you saw something maybe in particular you think would be helpful to people going forward?
I suppose if I had to give, so nothing you said struck me as particularly wrong, right? At most, there's oversimplifications, but no one in this room except for me cares about what temperature actually means mathematically. Accuracy is basically correct, right? If I had to add anything, it would just be large language models just are a blank piece of paper. You write words on the paper and it fills the rest out. It doesn't really comprehend what you're writing. So whatever makes the most sense to fill out the rest of that sheet of paper you started is what it's going to come up with. And you can take advantage of this by thinking of various documents you've read or ways you can phrase things that would make sense to then be followed by the type of content you want to see. One common technique is that used to be used way back in the day, even with like ChatGPT and Cloud and all these other things, is a jailbreaking technique is to start their reply with something along the lines of, yes, I can do that, here it is. And then it would follow with the whatever reply you wanted to see, because it's just writing what makes sense to come afterwards.
Right.
I don't know if that made sense.
The probability.
So like saying you do this sometimes works if the model is trained to handle that, but writing it's kind of a hard thing to describe abstractly, but a really good example is how Weaver just doesn't get it unless you really drive home, speak in first person, use I, right? Just saying first person, I was frankly astonished that it managed to speak in first person when you just instructed it to do so. But giving it like, I am doing this, then I will do this, etc., then it will be like, we are in first person now. I is how I should write. Just guided by examples kind of deal.
That makes sense. Well, thank you for taking the time to be with us here tonight. And I hope I did your program proud. Like I said, I love it. I'm especially happy that it seemed to get some humor in there. So I will definitely be turning to this just for even humorous stuff.
It's doing the best it can.
It's doing a really good job. So, all righty, everybody. Last chance. Any questions?
Thank you very much. This was very informative.
You're very welcome.
Great class. Thank you.
Thank you, Nicole.
All righty, everybody. This was recorded, so I will get this downloaded and it will be sent to Michael. So again, Michael is still out. He has a lot of videos to upload when he comes back. But if for whatever reason y'all actually need it, I could post it on my YouTube if everybody's okay with that, and just link that YouTube to y'all. Just let me know. But I don't want to upset anybody by putting it out there either.
That's
So.
fine by me.
Absolutely.
All righty. Well, thank y'all, and y'all go play with Weaver and have fun, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Bye.
Nicole.